Hello and welcome to We Go Deep with Kat and Sarah. This week we thought we would talk about or discuss or explore who are we as humans. It's from a wider perspective, not from the, hi, I'm Sarah, but who are we or what are we? And I came across a cool quote that I thought encapsulated it really cool. It's from Mavis Karn. And it says, we are pure, intelligent energy in human form. We create our own experience of life and can realize we're doing it. So, what does that say to you, Kathleen?
Well, a great topic to explore. What are we? And I would say, you know, um, oh my gosh, it's such a big topic. You can come at it with the Sanskrit neti neti, not this, not that. Sometimes it's easier to see what we're not. But what are we? I love Mavis's quote. And the one that I hear most often from Teilhard de Chardin, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. That one resonates with me a lot. What about you, Sara Joy?
Yeah. Yeah. I I find the more I contemplate, well, I mean, so back to the quote that I just read, we are pure, intelligent energy in human form. Sort of seems to encapsulate it really tidily, which is why I liked it. And we can know that we are. And then what I was going to say is the more I focus on that, the less I feel I know what we are. The more the more I look at that. A couple weeks ago, I had a very interesting conversation at the local sauna here. It's like a hot and cold plunge sort of spa place. And people get to know each other and chat. And this fellow, he turns out he was a medical doctor, and he had traveled the world studying different tribal healing practices. And he'd gone to Japan and learned some energy practice from Japan that I'd never heard of. And it was from the island, like the northern Hokkaido island. And it was like thousands of years old. And he lived with Bushmen in the Kalahari and learned their healing methods. And but what struck me and what I remember about this whole conversation was he said to me, he doesn't know. He goes, I have no idea what a human being is anymore. And this was after quite a long exploration of we're an energy and form. And he says, I don't know what we are.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm I'm with you on that, which makes it difficult to have this discussion.
Have a podcast about it.
Yeah, like, okay, what are we? We really don't know. But we know that we don't know. So there comes the awareness piece, like that meta, right? Like we can know that we don't know.
Yeah. Part of why I was thinking about this recently was a lot of people I interact with in my practice. I hear a lot people saying to me, oh, but you don't know I have blank diagnosis. I have this, I have that, as reasons why they can't have a quiet mind, or reasons why they can't, reasons why they're overwhelmed and stressed. Oh, but you don't understand. I can't slow down. I have this diagnosis. And it's interesting because it's not the same diagnosis. It's the same words around it, but every time somebody says that to me, like there was 1 week where I probably had 3 people telling me that every day for 5 days. And it was 15 different reasons or diagnoses. And I realized people identify with their body, their brain function, their style of whether you're neurodivergent or your brain function style, maybe you could call it. People identify with their cars. Or their job, or who would I be? Someone recently, she was saying, who would I be if she was very worried because her husband wasn't doing health practices that she felt he should be doing. And she was afraid that she would lose him. They wouldn't have a long senior life together, and that he would get sick and pass away or need caregiving because, and she was expressing not a form of who would I be without him. So people identify with relationships, with all kinds of things. But yeah, that one had struck me. We're not our thoughts, but we're also not the way we organize our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
We're not our personality index or our I Ching, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we do construct this persona, this, what some people call the ego, like that because we think that's us.
Yeah. I think it's such a relief when you really find out that it's not you.
Mm-hmm.
None of that was ever me.
I feel that I have a good understanding of what I am and that I'm not that set of beliefs, that way I always behaved, that role that I play. But there's like this really embodied living it that I'm still not there. Like I understand it until I forget. I understand it until I'm out there in the world, in life, and you know, something happens or and I catch myself sometimes soon and sometimes it takes a while identifying with that me as a separate identity, not part of the whole, defined by all these constructs and concepts that I made up. So I wonder, can we get to that point where we're really living as that and not, that we don't get seduced into believing the story of me? I don't know if that's what enlightenment is. Like living that way all of the time. That's kind of how it looks to me.
I think it's definitely possible. What was coming to mind was it's fun to be fully into something and fully engaged with something.
Mm,
And I could see myself at times identifying with different things as I engaged with them, or um interestingly, so my son and my husband are very into American football, and I've been watching a lot of it this year. And I normally would, I watch some of it with them, but I'm watching more this year than I had. And partly because Declan, my son, he's so excited about Green Bay team. And they're not in it, the Super Bowl anymore this year, but there was the final game they played. He was so like cheering them on. And so, I'm watching the game, and now they're my team. And now I am, and I found myself identifying as a Green Bay fan, and we're cheering on. It was ridiculous how fun it was. We're like yelling at the TV, and my daughter came in the room, and she was talking about something else and distracting, and they started playing badly. So my son told her that the reason they were playing badly was because she was in the room and she had to leave so that they would play better again. And then if he decided if he did 10 push-ups for the quarterback for his team, then they would play good. And it just so happened that every time he did 10 push-ups, they would do a really good play. Oh, I was teasing him about that, and then when they lost, they ended up losing. And I was so sad. And then I had a moment of, wait a minute. It's not like what does it matter? It's a game. That's not me. I'm not identified with that. And so my whole point is it's fun to go in and out of different identities, and it's
yeah,
it's more if you get stuck in something you don't want to be, you know,
yeah,
like, yeah, if you identify with your level of income and you are out of work, then that can be very painful. But yeah, so I think flexibility, but yeah, definitely. So from the other I'm going on and on. From the other side, it is possible to live in a way where you're not identified with anything. I've watched many football games where I didn't give a shit because I had zero. None of them were my team. Yeah, it was so fun.
I don't know now that, I'm going to say something and I'm just not really sure, but it seems to me that you're talking about engaging in the world of form, and identifying temporarily as a cheesehead, a Green Bay Packer fan, right?
Yes, I
Isn't
think that
that
was
what they're
my whole
called?
story. Yeah, I think that was my story.
So if we're aware that that's what we're doing, and we don't, you know, get so caught up and forget in such a way that it causes us to suffer because because our identity is threatened, right? That we have to like, like I guess you could take it to the like you have a bad week because the Packers lost, and you know what I mean, because you're identified to the point that, well, it's personal, becomes personal, right? So if you're just having fun eating some cheesy popcorn while you're watching the game, and then when it's over, you're just like, yay, that was fun, you know doing
Yeah.
that. Like that I love what you said about, because I think that the goal isn't to understand that we're intelligent energy expressed as form, that we're a spiritual being having a human experience and not engage in the world of form, right? We want to, but I think it's a come from more,
Mm.
if we can go out there and try shit and play at things and explore and have a good time, and that from the understanding of what we are, and not being, because so much of the time when we're engaging in the world of form, we're grasping and clinging to our ego identity, and that's where all the suffering comes from.
It occurred to me as you were talking, people, it's a saying people say all the time, like your identity being threatened. And it occurred to me that there's no such thing as our identity. Like it's a collection of thoughts you have about yourself, and it doesn't actually exist because we are not that.
Right.
And so how can you threaten something that doesn't exist? Just sort of seemed, but I know what you mean by how people act when they think
Yes.
it's that. Yeah.
No,
It,
I'm glad you clarified that.
well,
Identifying with thinking, with would maybe be another way. Identifying with not.
I wasn't meaning it from a clarification. I mean, it does that. It just struck me as, oh, we do talk about it that way. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think the difference is if the recognizing. So if you're recognizing who you are and how we use thought to create things. So I was having fun using thought to watch a football game and get right. Like we really got into it. It was so fun. And my son's still really into it. He doesn't quite recognize, he doesn't want to watch the Super Bowl because the Packers aren't playing. And I said, no, but you love football. Don't you want to watch whoever is going to be there? And, oh, no, I don't like this team because of this reason. I don't like that team. and he stops. He's 16. He stops and he goes, okay, if we have pizza, I'll watch it. And my daughter from the other room, she yells, we're going to have wings and pizza. And there was something else she said we were going to have. I can't remember, maybe chips or something. He goes, okay, fine, I'll watch it if I can have wings.
Wow.
So, it's funny, but yeah, I mean, it's not ruining his whole week, but he's reluctant to switch his allegiance.
And that's okay too,
Yeah.
if you're onto it, like you're saying, like if you have the recognition of the realization, along with, you're watching you're totally into the football game. Like when you go to the movies, like, it's a movie, but you're not sitting there going like, while you're watching it, like, oh, this is just a stupid movie. This is all made up. No, like you're into it.
Stupid photons on a screen.
You're rooting for the characters. I guess I had to bring up movie just because I haven't watched an American football game in, I don't know, 20 years.
Yeah,
But
it's the same. It's the
I
same
have
thing.
been watching the Australian Open a little
Mm.
bit.
I remember when I was a kid watching it was a movie, I think it was called Never Cry Wolf. Something similar to that. It was about being in the Arctic, and this guy in one scene, the hero he falls through the ice into the water. And
Hold on a second. I'm so
that's okay. Taking the dog, going places. I'm filling the time with a silly song. She's gonna come back, and here she is. I'm singing to everybody while you're taking care of your dog.
Hey, I closed the blind.
Anyway,
Hey, stop.
I was watching a movie and I realized I was holding my breath because the main character was underwater. And I was really into the movie. And thankfully, I realized I was holding my breath so I could breathe. And I recognized it was just a movie. Yeah. That's kind of why I love this quote by Mavis that I started with was the ending, and we can realize we are doing it. That's everything we've been talking about. I think
Yeah.
the realizing what we're doing.
Yep. Yep. Read it again, Sarah Joy, because it is. It is.
Okay,
It's
from Mavis Karn, the smartest woman ever. We are pure, intelligent energy in human form. We create our own experience of life and can realize we are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like a wrap to me, unless you got anything else to add.
No,
You'll be watching the Super Bowl.
I think we're good. I will be watching the Super Bowl. I hear there's going to be pizza and wings. I I have to figure out who to cheer for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, let me know. Let us know
I
in the
will.
next episode of We Go Deep.
Next episode, we'll go deep with the footballs. Okay. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. And I hope you had as much fun as we did. And we'll talk with you next time. Bye.